So let's see what SPY and Friends brought us in the past week, and let's get prepared for the coming week. Weekly on the right, daily on the left. Always zoom out, zoom in to get a better point of view of price action. On the weekly, we can clearly see this yellow trend line holding the higher lows since October of 2022. In the past 2 weeks, we have 2 consecutive dojis holding above this yellow trend line, and this might signal that we are starting some kind of a trend reversal. We need a break above the 431 area, and then we are heading towards this gap over here at the 438. If next week we can get a weekly close above 438, in my opinion and with high probability, we are heading to close this gap at the 455. QQQ weekly. Previous week we had a doji of a trend line, trend reversal. Last week we got validation of a trend reversal. On the daily we closed September 20th gap. Now let's see continuation above 367, and then heading once again retesting this purple trend line that will become once again as a very tough resistance, because if we look left, since highs of July, each and every time Qs tried, they got rejected by this trend line. So this trend line is a very difficult resistance for bulls to come. Dow Jones, we have trend line from resistance, support. Now, last week, a doji of a trend line, broadening formation. Let's see continuation and trend reversal to the upside. We need first 2 or 3 days above the 335 area, as we can see also on the daily, very tough resistance. Then, if we can get next week close above the 338, we are heading towards this yellow trend line, Look left, tough resistance for the bulls since the peak of August. Since then, each and every candle, each and every time bulls tried, they got rejected. Now let's see if bulls can push price towards this trend line, closing this gap at the 344, and then we will reassess the risk once again. Bitcoin, nice, this yellow trend line nicely broke to the upside, but 28,130, tough resistance. As we always say, we need to follow price, use levels and trend lines as our guide for future price action. We need a weekly close, 15 more hours to get a weekly close on the Bitcoin. We need a weekly close above the 28,130, and then we might see 29 to the upside. Ethereum, basically, if we look on the weekly, we can clearly see this red trend line, as we identified this trend line few weeks back, even months back. We drew this trend line over here in June, beginning of June, and we said that this red trend line will become a very tough resistance. And here we are, June, July, August, and now also October. Let's see, can we still hold above this white trend line that's holding the higher lows since June of 2022. Overall, Ethereum on the weekly, we can clearly see sideways move. Prepare for both sides. Short continuation below this white trend line towards the 1260 and the 1000. Breaking above, a weekly close above this red trend line, above the 1850, and we might see 2150 and then 3310. Always prepare for both sides, never be biased. IWM trying to hold, but it looks like for now failing to hold inside this triangle. Let's see, can bulls of IWM push price back up and close next week above the 176? And then we can say we are still inside very long-term consolidation on the IWM, lower highs, higher lows. But if we can get a bounce, also a weekly close above 180, 180 will be a very tough resistance. All this area, resistance, support, breaking up and above, a weekly close above it, and we can say with high probability we are heading back to this upper trend line. All we need to do is learn how to follow price, use trend lines and Fibonacci to calculate our risk and our GPS for future price action. Crude oil, after a massive bull run, 2 consecutive dojis, then came last week. Bulls gave up on the 93, bears took full control, and now look at this red box. This red box we drew few weeks, few months back, and we said that from resistance, once it broke to the upside, price will come back and retest this area as support. And here we are retesting this area as support. Now this area needs to hold. If this area will fail to hold, we are heading back to the 76 and maybe even back to 67. Natural gas with 2 very bullish wicks. This red box, same as the crude oil, broke above. Now we are getting some kind of a bull run towards where we can take Fibonacci, swing low, swing high, and here we are at the 334 Fibonacci level. Above it we are heading towards the 385. But same as the crude oil, from resistance to support. This will happen also for natural gas from a very tough resistance sometime, and it will be sometime soon. This red box will become support. And if you look on the daily trend lines, shows us that for now the way is up, but some kind of a retracement from this area back to the 3 area. If the 3 area will fail to hold, natural gas is going to fill this gap. Look left on the natural gas. Natural gas historically have 0, natural gas futures at least, have 0 open gaps. So what does it mean? It means one thing. This gap will get filled and it's a matter of time. Be prepared. Apple, with a very nice bullish Friday, broke above this yellow trend line. Now let's see continuation towards this yellow trend line and closing this gap at the 181. On the weekly, we can see 50% retracement holding as support. Now the 177, 178 is the resistance, breaking up and above, and we are heading back to this upper red line. But we need another 2 or 3 days holding above the 178, and then with high probability we are going to retest this trend line over here. Tesla, another week, still holding very nicely above this yellow trend line. Now let's see continuation above the 260 area, and then retesting once again this purple trend line. And this purple trend line is giving bulls of Tesla rough time since November of 2021. Each and every time bulls tried, they failed. What will happen this time? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And the daily, very nice, close this gap. Thursday closed this gap at the 262 doji, and as we can clearly see, holding above this resistance area now will become support. If bulls of Tesla once again will fail to hold above this area, above this channel, we will get left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then we are heading towards this gap over here at the 217. Always prepare for both sides. The only thing we can do is manage our risk according to trend lines, support, resistance, and this is what Fibonacci gives us. AMD, first let's take a look on the weekly. AMD closed the week just above the crossroads between two important trend lines. We have the white trend lines that goes way back to October of 2022, held the higher lows, broke 2 weeks back, now got back above it, and now we have this red line that shows us this is a part of a downtrend channel that goes to June of 2023. Since then we have lower highs, lower lows, Now let's see continuation up and above, 2-3 more days. If AMD can hang above the white trend line, above the 107, we can take Fibonacci, swing low, swing high, and as you can see, Fibonacci gives us everything. We don't need to look left, we don't need to think. Fibonacci gives us it. Next will be the 112.11 and then 116.50. Very tough resistance. 3 weeks here. End of May, beginning of June, 3 weeks of resistance, of support, sorry. And then, since mid of June until middle of August, almost 2 months of resistance. So, by default, this will come once again a very tough resistance. Amazon, another week, another doji, indecision for the market on Amazon. 122.60 needs to hold, otherwise we have all the levels to the downside. Can we get a bounce 2-3 days above the 130 and then we are heading back to the 142. Microsoft, we drew these red lines few weeks back, still holding the 311 because bulls know that below 311 we are heading towards the 292. Let's see continuation to the 340, above 340, 351. Google, very nice relative strength all around September and October. For now, the first week of October, very bullish week. We have this uptrend channel. Let's see continuation, Google towards the 144 area. Also here, we have this trend line over here. Let's see, can bulls of Google break above and close 2, 3, and maybe a weekly close above 130, 138, and then 146 to the upside. Netflix, 2 consecutive dojis of the 618 Fibonacci retracement level, uptrend, retracement, 618. On the daily, we can see, this purple trend line, because you follow me on Twitter and you saw previous videos, still sliding down, but a very bullish Friday. We still need 2-3 days above 386 to validate that bulls are back for now. And then we have the 400 to the upside. Nvidia with a very nice Friday breaking above this short-term downtrend line. 462 is next. 441 together with his yellow trend line needs to hold the support. And as you can see, also on the daily, we have rising volume of buyers. On the weekly, finally breaking above and closing above the 437, very important level of support. Resistance over here, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance. Now it needs to hold once again as support. Let's see, can we continue towards the 480 and then back to the 502. Short continuation below 401 to this trend line over here. Meta, this triangle, we drew this triangle 2 or 3 weeks back, breaking above it. We need 2 or 3 days more holding above this triangle, and then we are heading towards the 328. And this is how Friday looked on Meta. 325 is next, and then 344, but some kind of pullback, retesting this area, the 305, together with this yellow trend line as support, and then next leg up. Shopify on the weekly, 2 consecutive dojis, 52 holding. This double top on the higher time frame, on the monthly time frame, is still in play. Breaking below the 52, a weekly close below the 52, we are heading towards the 48 and then 43. But on the daily, as we say, zoom in, zoom out to get a better point of your price action. On the daily, 51 area holding. We have a multi-bottom over here. I want to see continuation above 54.30, 2-3 days above 54.30, and then 56.70. This gap over here will get filled, a weekly close above it, and then we are heading towards the 59.34. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, like, subscribe. I wish all the best to all the families in Israel. I wish you all the best. Only good. And we stand with you. We stand together and we shall prevail this evil that came upon us. Stay safe.